I can't wait to see T.O.'s induction speech to the Hall of Fame. Oh, so much for that. Issues being brought forth in cards, and we award a champion in Champions Personified. Cold Sports presents on the Daily. Thank you for tuning in to On the Daily. I'm glad you are joining me. Cole Johnson here, and we're going to get right down to it. I actually have a couple of topics I want to introduce to you in the topics of the day. We'll start in Cleveland, where LeBron James in yesterday's press conference had the nerve to opine. In fact, I'll even go so further and say that he had the temerity, the unmitigated gall, the stones to actually say on camera that the Warriors are a better stacked team than his Cavaliers squad. The issue I have with that is you're supposed to go hard for your squad, not throw them under the bus. I get that you are not a big fan of the front office, and you certainly are not a big fan of Sean. And you're certainly not a... I understand that you're not a big fan of the front office, and I know, LeBron, you're not a fan of Dan Gilbert. However, it doesn't mean that you have to throw everybody that's affiliated with the Cavaliers under the bus. What's next? You're going to say all of the 20,562 people in the stands in Quicken Loans Arena, they're not as good as the Oracle Arena fans? Put the brakes on that, man, please. Malcolm Jenkins of the Philadelphia Eagles, the cornerback, is speaking, but he's not using his mouth. What am I alluding to? Well, in a press conference about a couple days ago, he decided to get his message across in placards. So he would hold up a couple of signs, some detailed different NFL players who were doing something along the social justice lines, some also doing things on the political lines. But it seemed as if the reporters who were surrounding Malcolm were taking turns being intrigued and annoyed. And you could see it when Malcolm would hold up one of those signs which blatantly said, "You're not listening." Now, other cards also said that there were hundreds of shootings already this year that were of the police brutality variety, and those who were unarmed. The only thing that I have to say about this is it's really simple. If you want to get your message out there, go to DC and see him. And if you get brushed aside, come back and say that I made the trek down there. He didn't want to see me, and now here it is, and this is the only way I can do it. Now, you may have done that already, Malcolm, because you're an intelligent guy. You probably have done that. But at least say that, I tried a visit down there and it just didn't happen, so this is the only way that I can get my message across. But I agree with you, though. You do need to be heard. No question about that. Staying with the NFL, Terrell Owens, who has been the subject of why is he not in the Hall of Fame for many years, got inducted into the Hall of Fame officially 4 months ago. He now is not going to attend the ceremony. Now, he released a press statement covering, basically why he wasn't going, and the reason was being he wanted to celebrate his induction privately. So he thanked all the teams that he played for, chiefly among them the 49ers, the Bengals, and the Cowboys. And along with that, pretty much is the intrigue of this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame. Let's be completely honest. Yes, there are others who would make me want to watch the program, but many wanted to see how T.O. was going to throw all of the NFL under the bus. You won't see it in 2 months. But it makes me think of two things. One, is this because of what has gone down with the NFL as of late? Or two, has the Shield went to Terrell and said, if you're not going to be positive, we don't want you on the stand. Something tells me that is what was said. And those are your topics of the day. When I come back, we're going to award a champion, one who has struggled mightily, but now is at the mountaintop. In this edition of Champions Personified. Coming up on tomorrow's easygoing edition of On the Daily, we're going to talk about Game 4 of the 2018 NBA Finals. Are we going back to Oracle? Or are we pronouncing the 2018 NBA season dead? And we're going to go into the Inspiration Corner. The most positive thing to ever hit the sports landscape is in that segment. And every segment of Inspiration Corner. But that's for tomorrow. For today, we're going to focus on the Washington Capitals, and in particular, one Washington Capital. In their 44-year history, with their 4-3 victory over the Vegas Golden Knights, the Capitals won their very first Lord Stanley's Cup. But the talk, every time the Capitals have been in the playoffs, at least for the last 5 years, has been on one of those Capitals. And that one is one left winger, Mr. Alex Ovechkin. We award him, along with the rest of the Capitals, in this edition of Champions Personified. So many fans talk about Chris Paul and his journey and the swing and a miss in his failures to advance, at least before this year, to the conference finals, and of course now his failure to still not advance to the NBA finals. Due to whatever. Due to bad play with his teammates, due to friction with teammates, due to his own injury nature. But that's always seemingly the talk, and the older he gets, the greater the talk of that nature happens. The same is true in hockey. Every time the Stanley Cup playoffs would roll around, the question has always been, well, the Capitals, they have won the President's Cup year after year after year. They have proven themselves to be the greatest team in the regular season, but when the playoffs happen, when the Stanley Cup playoffs arrive and the lights are on bright, pretty much the team goes into a funk and a dud. And they peter out. Not this year. With the 4-3 victory, the Capitals, with their 4-3 victory on T-Mobile Arena's ice, the Capitals ended 44 years of frustration in the nation's capital and the 14-year frustration of one Alex Ovechkin. And every time we mention his name, it's always been the same refrain. This team cannot win it all with this guy leading the way. And they had other obstacles to hurdle over, chiefly amongst them the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I was asked one time, well, what do you think about the rivalry between the Capitals and the Penguins? And I said, well, the thing is about rivalries, normally you have both teams that get the better of the other. If I'm not mistaken, the last few years, the Penguins have always gotten the better end of the Capitals, whether the Penguins had home ice or the Capitals did. Well, in this year's Eastern Conference semifinal, the Capitals exercised that demon. Then, if that wasn't good enough, they had to go onto road ice in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they win that one. I think what's so beautiful about journeys such as this, when you see a player that seemingly can't get over the hump, and they trip over themselves year after year and time after time and try after try, when you see them succeed, there's a different level of satisfaction you feel for the player. Take, for instance, John Elway. When he had those horrific Super Bowl losses, people would say, well, he can get them to the game, but he just can't win the big game. And so in his 16th year, against an ingenue like Brett Favre, he wins his first Super Bowl, and the smile could not have been scraped off his face. He got the crown. He got the trophy. After being in battle and getting the scars and being bruised and being beaten up and being knocked completely down, sometimes knocked out for a certain period, he got back up, he tried it again, and he got that ring. And the same for Mr. Ovechkin. It's beautiful to see this happen as a sports fan, because the thing that makes us sports fans is we want to see greatness. And we want to see greatness in people who can overcome, because life is hard out here. So sometimes you need motivation to get through the next day or the next moment. You have to understand, you see your season end in May, you grind hard, you work out hard, you go back on the ice in October, you do this all again, and you get knocked back down again in May, and you have to get right back on that treadmill and do it again. And now he got back up the 14th time, and he is the envy of the NHL. And that's really all a champion is. A champion is nothing more than a man or woman who takes all of those lessons, takes all of those knockdowns, take all of those setbacks, learn from them all, show the perseverance to get back up, deny hearing naysayers saying that they can't do it, prove them all wrong, and succeed. My hat's off to you, Alex. You are not just a champion of the National Hockey League, but you are a champion in life. If you happen to like this episode or any episode that you have seen thus far, hit that button below. Yeah, the red one that says subscribe. Hit it! And you will get all the updates of any and every video that comes to you exclusively on YouTube, where this show happens every Monday through Saturday. If there's a day of the week, except for Sunday, because I got to spend time with family, there is an On the Daily. So get that. When you subscribe, you'll have it. It'll be all yours. And speaking of all yours, the question of the day is all yours. Go to Instagram, not right now, but after this video is over, go to Instagram, where I'll have the question of the day. I'd like to hear what you think about the questions that I pose, because your opinion and your take matters to me. And speaking of your takes and opinions mattering to me, join me on Periscope where I go live every Monday through Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'd love to have that lunch with you East Coasters, West Coasters. That one last cup of coffee. I'd like to drink it with you. But no matter who you are, what you are, where you are, I thank you for your support. Please continue to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. Send them to here if they want to have sports takes with passion, with intelligence, with class, with sophistication, and with no profanity. You've come to the right place. Bring them home, because I will entertain and educate all the same. It's because of you, my VIP, why this channel exists and why this brand exists. So I thank you. That's all the time I have. Thank you for joining me for this week and this day. I'm Cole Johnson, and this has been another edition of Cole Sports on the visual and on the daily.